So real briefly, we'll discuss some of the services and amenities that we have here at the Cricket Club. So first here we've got a small little golf shop, locker room. Um, we've got the cart storage area, the inside of it, and the outdoor grill area. It's a little practice area for golf. So a big issue with this here is it's the cart staging area. So it's where we prepare a lot of our events and tournaments, and on a daily basis, people use this area to get loaded up and get transported to the driving range. Um, and as you can see, kind of over those garage doors of the clubhouse, there's actually a hole. You'll see later. There's actually the second hole comes right behind that clubhouse. So whenever we get players who are, maybe not as talented as others, we'll see a lot of golf balls that'll come flying up over that clubhouse. And luckily, since I've been here, we haven't had any issues with it hitting anybody, but we've certainly come close to, injury, or the ball certainly ricocheting off either the clubhouse or other obstacles in that area. So this is a big deal. I'm not sure in the near future what the fix is going to be, but we kind of do the best we can for now. So sort of what we're doing right now, driving through uh, the property, our main golf course, Wissahickon. You can see there was a couple areas where you actually cross the hole that's being played at the time. So we have to put up stop signs, and there's a lot of issues with people that are oblivious to it and drive right through the course. So you kind of be wary of that. And right now, as we kind of enter till this connects to our other golf course, it's tough because there's only so much you can do with a facility this old to be as safe as you can. And so here we've got going back up the hill. It's really a blind turn. So and here it is from a different angle. It's tough because you just don't really know how fast someone is going around that corner. And unfortunately, with age of our facility, there's a lot of people who don't have the reaction time for this. So it's kind of tough to um, establish and or change a risk management plan for Philadelphia Cricket Club because of how old it is. It's been around since 1854. Um, the building, the main campus where the Wissahickon Golf Course is, has been there since 1922. Um, so again, there's a lot of things that are there and can't be changed. Because of the history and tradition, but also just because we don't have the land or space anymore to renovate or change up kind of what it is, because the people that are members pay a lot of money to be a part of the tradition and a part of the culture, and so on and so forth. Um, but the few things I did highlight, that courtyard area where golf balls tend to fly in, I think it's very um, easy to assume that here in the next coming years there will be some sort of protective netting, or or they'll have to just kind of shift the green over a little bit farther away so it's not as common for people to miss into that area. Because on any given time, especially on the weekends, there could be 20 to 30 people walking around that area with golf carts, their own golf bags, between caddies and staff, um, so on. So something like a protective netting, or um, or making a physical change to the golf course is the only way that problem is going to be solved. As far as driving through the golf course, which I mentioned, there's nothing we can really do about that. The only thing you can do is basically educate your members and your staff and the guests that when they arrive on property and they're driving through the golf course, that they have to obey the stop signs. They have to obey when people are on the course and they're holding their hands up to say, "Hey, don't come." Um, there has to be something that is universal to prevent people from driving through a hole that's being played by someone. And if they were to hit a bad shot and they get hit, you could be in a very sticky situation as far as liability goes. And lastly, the biggest problem I think on the entire property is that bridge, that tunnel that you go through. So that is an active freight line um, as of now, and so the only thing in my mind that could really fix that for long term is blowing that thing up because there's no that bridge is 50 feet above the tunnel. Um, I kind of briefly brought up a little red light, green light situation um, with stop signs on either end, and you basically have a button and you hit, hey, I'm going through. You hit the green light, so you go through. But when you hit that button, it automatically turns the other side to red, which means you can't go. Um, I know there's probably flaws associated with that, but that's something that multiple staff members that have been here for a long time have told me that is something that can be very beneficial. So, um, impacts of the risk management plan. It's like I said in the previous clip. It's kind of tough to really implement these because of the tradition and the culture that this club uh, offers and kind of provides. Um, you know, the moving of a clubhouse or the movement of a green is going to cost a lot of money. Um, you can obviously educate your members and you can educate your staff, and that's basically free of charge. So that's going to be your best bet as far as getting people in the right places to avoid injury, to avoid risk, um, and then so there's no cost associated with that. And then with the tunnel and that bridge, it's tough. I mean, that can be a very very expensive project, no matter which route you go. So. Um, and it could really have a big impact on the club because you could put that tunnel out of commission for X amount of days, and now all of a sudden it's very inconvenient to get back and forth from one course to the other. Not that members really have an issue with that, but staff would really suffer from that. So the fixes certainly would be in the long term, maybe in the off season when the weather isn't as good up here. But it's the club could afford to do these things. They bring in a lot of money. We have close to 4,000 total members, 750 specific to golf. Um, so, personally, I believe that we do have the money to afford changes like this, but it's just a matter of getting approval from the board and approval from the membership, because in a member-owned um, uh, facility like this, if you do something to rub members the wrong way, they're going to leave, and there goes your upfront capital. So you do have to kind of balance the pros and cons of what you're going to do, and kind of go from there. So I do think that some of these ideas that I kind of brought up are possible. I think some of them are very feasible, um, easy to instill um, as far as the education goes, but some of them will take physical labor and time. So you kind of have to be patient with that. And unfortunately, it was something that was built in the mid 1850s. There are going to be flaws. So as long as we're aware of those flaws and can kind of work around them, then we're going to do our best to avoid as much risk as possible.